Thanks for joining us live with Miami's Community News. And our guest is Steve Calle, who is a candidate for the City of South Miami City Commission. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about South Miami. You want to become one of the brand new commissioners that's going to happen. Big question. People always want to know why.
Well, it started with me with the parks. So I have a 11-year-old and a 12-year-old kid. They play soccer over at South Miami Park with South Miami United. Over the years, I just noticed how the park with our branded name, it just, didn't have the facilities over some of our great parks like Dante Fasel. We have porta potties as bathrooms. The grass is not grass, it's weeds. It was just an old abandoned construction site from the old YMCA. So that's where, for me, it started fueling the fire for me. It started this itch that I needed to scratch. From there, I started to get more involved with the city. I was on the board of Environmental Review and Preservation Board. I later became the chair. Also now on the Budget and Finance Committee. So trying to learn as much as I can about the city so I can hopefully make some changes.
So the South Miami Park is on 57th Avenue and about what street?
That's probably like 44th.
Yeah, so that's at the north end of the city of South Miami.
Correct.
Who is that side of South Miami has been essentially ignored
for years,
at least 10, maybe 15. All right.
Yes, I agree.
And so we were delighted when Brian Corey, who lives on the north end, was elected. All right. And that you're running, because that's what being in a city is about, is it being more inclusive.
Correct.
Than the people up north. I know the people up north, for the most part, there's not a relationship in the city. Right. We know that, we see that, who shows up, who's participating. So we're delighted the people from the north end are now being active in the city, because it'll be that balance. When you mentioned Donnie Fasel Park, all right, and you look at the parks where they all are, all right, that are beautiful, that's typically in the South End where the elected and powerful people were. So I'm delighted to see it going up to the North End. So you've been on two boards. You're currently on one of the boards, right?
Two boards.
Two boards. You currently chair. You were chair one.
I am chairing one.
Okay,
currently.
That's wonderful. So it started with the sports of you being up there. But do you remember the moment when you said, "I'm going to run for commission"?
Yeah, that's it moment for me was the South Miami Arts Festival. So I park with my wife and my kids in the garage at Sunset Place. We walk through Sunset Place. It looks like an abandoned old ghost town. Then I walk onto the street, Sunset, and I see a lot of businesses down. The ambiance different, and then that's the moment where I said, yeah, I can help here, and I really want to do something about it.
We are lucky that we have an ability to have a real town center, right? And it's there. We just have to figure out how to populate it with the businesses and with the people. That corner, Sunset and 57th Avenue, it was the bakery center, then the shops of Sunset. Maybe this time it's going to do it. But when that corner is developed, and there will be a lot of people coming into town, that in and itself helps populate the areas, right? And people like that. Nobody wants to go into an empty restaurant.
Right.
And when you walk through the parking, you go, why does this feel like, the 60s, all right? In some place way out in West Kendall that nobody cares about. So we have the downtown 72nd Street. We have 73rd Street, which is a pretty active area.
Very
active.
Yeah.
Lots of businesses that are there. I frequent the Deli Lane and Casa Cuba, and I enjoy going there. We host a breakfast there every 2 months. All right, it's easy. People come there. They like to do it. All right. So, you mentioned the parking garage where our people don't park yet. I say when we go there, but they may at some point. What are the city just bought all but the first floor of that shopping
they were already the owners.
Okay.
Now it's under their control. So
Gotcha.
Now we're running it. When I say we, it's the city.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. And now we have a better job of promoting the parking garage and getting people into the garage so we can start spreading out into the restaurants and businesses.
So I think part of it is, how do you get people that don't like to park in garage or do new things or different things? How do you get them to say, this is be okay? How are you going to do that?
I think it goes before that, right? You need to make sure people are coming, first of all, right? Like if people can park on the streets and easy parking, most likely they're going to do it. We want them to be, I want parking to be full. So they have to go find those places in the parking garage. I remember Miracle Mile used to be like that, right? Miracle Mile before the changes, you could still park on the street because a lot of people weren't going on the mile like they used to. They remodeled it, brought a lot more businesses, and now people are parking in the garages. And now there's garages all around Miracle Mile. That's the idea, that's the vision that I have for the city, is where we can have a great, well, I call it Main Street, Sunset, call it a great place where the center's at, anchored by a few big malls like Sunset Place and maybe the one that's going on by the Winn-Dixie Center that's coming up soon. But when you have those two anchors and you start filling in those, three blocks, that's where you're going to start seeing the people and where the parking garages are going to get full. Like that's the only way you're going to be able to do that.
So, and let's talk about what the residents want. All right. I don't know if somebody that lives a mile south of where Sunset Drive, that they want anything that's there, but they do want things for during their life. What are they looking for?
What and the people I've conversated
Yes.
with and when I'm starting knocking on doors is people want to have great restaurants. They want to have a destination where they can go spend time with their families. They want to have an opportunity to walk their dogs and just enjoy being in their town, and being able to do everything. Better shopping, better experiences with retail, restaurants, and being all in close proximity. So what I've heard is that's one of the areas they wanted. But what also that does for the people is it generates a lot more tax revenue for our city to go ahead and spend back into the city. So improving our streets, our parks, our taxes, more importantly, right? So once we generate all this income coming in from our taxes and from these businesses, that could give us the opportunity to lower the mill rate in a much better way where it's going to really affect us, not half a point or whatever. It'll be substantial where it really affects us, and we can lower our taxes and hopefully continue to do better as a city.
And speaking of doing better, we have a great police department. Well, I mean, I think that we do. What are the residents who you've spoken to? What are their comments about the place?
It's the first thing they always say. I love the city of South Miami because if something happens, they're fast, efficient, and effective. One of the plans I would want to work on is to make sure that we have more money for our police station, the new police station that hopefully we can get them built one of these days, where they have the better facilities, where they have much better capabilities. Training is, optimum. Not saying they're not now, but anything could be better, right? So those are one of the things that we definitely want to improve on. I don't know if you had the opportunity I have to go over to the police station. I mean, we've talked about this before.
30 years ago, I had to bail out my brother.
It's antiquated. So slightly antiquated. So
it is. And if people went for a tour, they would be astonished that we are allowing and essentially forcing the young career police and the career people to work in that environment. It is terrible. It's like I went on a tour of the jails a long time ago. It's like that looks like it, right? And put aside that's the police station. It's just old, and when you walk in, it takes you back 40 years, and that's not a good environment for people that want to spend a career at South Miami Police Department. There are plenty. We see that, and one of the things we like here is when we call the police. They're here. I'm just
like I said, quick,
just
fast and
you can
effective.
call them from down outside, and here they are. Right, that's very comforting. We have a big hospital that's here, really big hospital, and people like that. They have medical care. They have the police. They have good shopping. We have lots of parks down south. All right. Let's talk about it. But there's how many parks? Is one?
Well, south of Miller?
Yeah. No, north.
Oh, north. There's
South Miami
two.
Park. Where are those?
Well, South Miami Park is one, and there's a small little park that's being developed right now on 50th Street and what is that, 61st Avenue, somewhere around there. Very small, but that's pretty much it.
So again, so I know the pocket parks. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah, that's a pocket park.
And people like that, and it shows that the city cares. And years ago, the commission decided they were going to spend some money on beautiful signs, identifying it, right? And it made a difference. At the beginning, I said, what's wrong with the county signs that are up to the little green strips? When you look at these signs out there, people care. And when you look at Dining for Sale, the city's moved ahead with some artwork that's here, all donated by artists, all right? And there's an event going to go on there soon, all right? which is really significant, drawing a lot of attention.
It's the Colombian. There's a relationship between the city of South Miami and the city of Medellin. So my family's Colombian, so I appreciate that. But what I do want to work on is on the north side is, the attention that park gets, especially as a Colombian. But going onto that park on the north side, let's pay that attention. And that park up on the north side, South Miami Park, which is branded South Miami Park, it's an opportunity really to be a destination park, not only for the city of South Miami, Coral Gables, Miami-Dade County, and pretty much anybody in Dade County. So it has great opportunities and great possibilities.
Okay, and there are some cities and some governments here that have within the city government a referral service for people that might need social services or are calling and they don't know what to do. Right? There's 211 for the county, and there are other agencies that you could go to. If you get elected, what I'd like you to consider having a conversation about, if somebody needs a referral service, they have some easy place to call that's local, that they're comfortable to say, I need a place for my grandmother. I don't know what to do. Who should I call? And to be able to direct them, even if it's the 211. All right. I think it's important because when people call, they're not in a crisis, but they're pretty close to being exasperated. And so I hope that the city takes a bigger look at mental health issues and family issues to try to keep us all together. And we see that during the pandemic, which we're not out of the war, right? And there's plenty of issues that are going to go on for a long, long, long time that affect. How old are your kids?
They're 11 and 12.
All right. So a third of their almost 10%, 20% of their life.
Yeah.
They've been around this.
Hopefully it's less, but yes,
right.
I'm with you.
So I've got little kids, grandkids. The girl's 5. Half her life, wear mask, not wear mask. You're going to get
true.
it. And so that causes lots of trauma. Now, we know that the J.R. Lee has been selected as former school, has been selected by
Miami-Dade
County
Mm-hmm.
to be torn down apartment buildings to go up there. We see a few blocks from here, the 60-year-old townhouse, 50-year-old townhouse that are already being torn down.
Nice.
And those people are being moved, all right, to another place. And
with the ability to come back.
yes, good.
I want to make sure we point that out.
And some beautiful buildings are going to go up. That makes people feel good everywhere, right? And imagine going from a 50-year-old building, 60-year-old, not that there's anything wrong with that. I have friends that are 50 and 60, all right? But they lived a lifespan. And so they're going to be able to go into these beautiful buildings built by the Related Company, who's also going to be donating a lot of money to art in public places.
And land and parks.
Right, which has been, that was an instrument of the city that brought that up. So we are about to experience wonderful growth, controlled growth. We're about to get something going on at Winn-Dixie, something going on over here, two or three places here. And I think it's time for this commission to move out of the 60s and get into the mid-20s, all right, which we are at. We see that COVID is coming back again, right? But it's gone from number 1 story to like number 5 and 8 because everybody's trying to get over it. But what are some things that are going on in the city that people are concerned about that you think you can address?
Well, let's take it back to where you first started. As I've been knocking on doors, and hopefully I can knock on a lot more, but one of the first things they ask about is like, man, I used to have this connection to the city where I can call the mayor or talk to these people. So bringing up what you just talked about, 211 or 811 or whatever the number may be, is that we need to have something where people can communicate with the commission base and express whatever they're talking about. Yes, we have emails. Yes, we have the website. But a lot of those people don't like to use the website. They're still stuck in their ways, and that's fine, right? But we need to accommodate them, not them accommodate all the time to us or the technology or whatever is progressing. So I think that's the first thing, because I have noticed that a lot. And it's come to my mind a lot. For the city of South Miami, look, I think that the commission needs a little bit more of experiences to take us to those next steps. I have a background in engineering, business, development. I have a lot of experience that I want to apply to my city. I want to see what I can do to help it out. I don't think the current commission does. And like you said, I think it's a little bit outdated, and I really want to see the city progress, not regress, which in my opinion, it's done over the last few years and more. Not saying everybody's doing a bad job; they're doing a decent job. It's just I think it's a next step moving forward. But yes, we've already have Somi Park. We have the Winn-Dixie building that's going to be Sunset Place, hopefully. That
And all these places are going to provide services and products for the residents.
Residents, low income, working class income, teachers' ability to stay there. We're going to have, hopefully, what other commercial office space just to bring more people into the town. Yes, we're going to have concerns with traffic. We've talked about this before where, a lot of people, we're going to have too much traffic. I mean, you can't control what the other municipalities are doing. I'll give you an example. Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, and Cutler Bay. Those guys are going through an expansion, incredible expansion right now. How does that affect us? People need to go north on US 1, or they need to take the metro or the bus station. So we're going to see that regardless. What we need to try to do is be efficient with that. And not because everybody else is around us doing it, we're going to do it too. No, it's because we need to progress with the times. But we need to do it smartly and effectively. And I think that's what the people of South Miami want. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Right. One of the councilmen in Pinecrest did a survey about how people wanted to receive their news. You might want to look it up. All right. And it was very interesting.
What was it? Just tell me. Do
you remember? I don't want to misquote it, but I was like, it was whether you go to our website, you want a newsletter, you want something mailed to you to your house. See, all right.
Okay, yeah.
All right. And there were 3 or 4 other ones. When I looked at it, I was stunned. All right. Because sometimes when you're in the marketing business, you think everybody's over here. No, there are people all over.
The demographics are all over the place.
Right. Yeah. And everybody wants to consume content differently. We do a lot of stuff digitally. Yeah, that's great for some people.
Right.
Right. And other people, no. By the way, we have the director of the MDX is going to be our speaker at the end of this month at Casa Cuba on 73rd Street, RSVPs only. All right. And one of the things she's going to talk about are mobility options. All right. So we know in new housing and what's being proposed for around all the US 1 and the corridors is the city, including South Miami, needs to come up with a plan that includes consideration for higher density and for less cars, all right, because that addresses part of it. And if you move into this apartment building, you're going to know you're not going to get a car spot, right? And if you want it, great. If you don't, go somewhere else. That's just the reality of these things. And we see our friends out of West Kendall continue to get stuck out there. I hope whatever methods of transportation come in the next 5 to 10 years will give some relief down there. I live 5.6 miles from here. If I leave my house at 7:15, I might be here in an hour. Might. 7 schools. 7 schools.
Yeah, you're going through Miller and Sunset. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you look at that, people across the county are dealing with that. So there's a app, Wave. Is that what it's called? Wave, where it helps direct you away from.
Oh, Waze, yeah,
Waze.
All right, that doesn't help.
All right,
not with the traffic down here.
All right, and so it just is what it is. All right, and we hope that when these buildings go up, that people can understand how the traffic flows. If there's something down in Winn-Dixie over there, which would be something that's going to include residents, that's going to put literally many hundreds of people on the street, walking up and down 73rd Street, going to the business there, station. Sunset Drive, and doing all that stuff. That's tremendous. All right. So my hat's off to whoever's going to approve whatever is going to be there. Over the years, I really haven't seen in South Miami a real communication department. All right. And for a lot of reasons, I suspect because they didn't have somebody that really cared. I don't know if it was a money issue. Right. But we know people want to communicate, whatever way that is. There are plenty of cities that have a public information officer that puts out content. When the grand jury was years ago, when they were helping they came up with a report concerning the county about the bad PR they were getting. I don't know why the grand jury had it. At the end of the day, what this came out to is you have to put out enough content that's positive that it can mitigate some of that other stuff, and so you can make it shine. All right. And there's that sign on Donnie Fussell Park. I mentioned this before on US 1 facing it. I look over, and well, when it first went up, I said, "Oh, it's a waste." No,
it's branding,
right? And then we begin to see that, across South Miami. So
the commission did a good job with that.
Yes,
I think that the commission did a really good job with starting this process of branding the city. I think it lacked significantly. Then we're only talking about maybe a year, 2 years ago. This is during COVID when it started that. So I'm glad the commission's starting to understand the brand of the city, and we can progress. And I just want to see that progress to a much higher scale.
So I think the city does an annual Halloween thing. I think they do is the Elves Parade still going on?
I don't think so.
All right. They were events that had occurred that caused people to get together. And that makes good feelings for people. And they're willing to put up with a lot of stuff with that. And so we're marketers.
Did you go to the 4th of July event this year? It was great. Right. It was fantastic.
So one of the things that we realize is when we have events, you got to be inclusive. All right. And of course, that everybody that's in the media has to say to themselves, what am I going to do? All right. To try to help them if they want the help. So what we've seen, and people have asked me, you need to, if you want somebody to pick up your stuff, you need to work that content into them. The content's important, but what's more important is that you went there, whatever it was, and push and push and push and push. So because when we do that, other people see it, and other people want to be, be part of it. Typically, I think the city gives away turkeys on Thanksgiving week or so. I hope the city continues doing that in some proper fashion, whatever that happens to be. And then we know that we have a city hall that is part of the police station, which we reference as being, a little old. There's a conversation about
we'll say not young.
Okay, 4 years ago, all right, about City Hall, and it's okay. Sell, lease, whatever it was, the City Hall. Is that conversation still going around?
Yeah, I mean the conversations, and my understanding, it's still going around, and I think there's still a lot of interest for it. I think that with that corridor right along US 1, especially with Miami-Dade County, really wanted to do something special with the metro station. I think that's going to progress even further in the next couple of years. So do I anticipate the police station getting an upgrade and uplift, or maybe even moving? To me, I think that would be my hope. Obviously we have to go through the logistics, planning, finance, and make sure we do all that correctly. But moving forward, I think City Hall would probably take that step forward with them as well, and figure out what we can do with that piece of land as well.
And that type of planning is 5 to 10 years down the road.
Yeah, I mean the plannings that the visions that people have of a municipality or something this big, it's not something that's measured within, let's say I do become commissioner and let's say I win the next one. It won't be through my base. This is a generational type of change. So you're talking about 20 years,
Let's look at the South Miami Metro Rail Station. When you would be driving by the post office over there and you look at it, look like a parking garage. They fixed that thing. Is so fixed up. You go there and you smile. You say, "This is wonderful."
Yeah, you say, "Wow, it's like a breath, fresh."
Yes, it's
breath
incredible.
Of fresh air,
And when you see the students walking up and down the street, tremendous. It wasn't too long ago people would not go where the Valencias.
Yeah.
All right. 15 years ago. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It was like people wouldn't go there. So that evolution is occurring, including on the corner there, next to it, just south of it, where an apartment building is supposed to go up there. That sounds like that's already in the works.
That's in the works, yeah. It's going to be, I think, more school housing.
Right. And sometimes, we don't want the students. The students are the one that's going to populate Coral Gables, South Miami, in this area. Right? They can walk across the street. They're more into walking than most of the other people. They probably, if they're going to school, they'll take the rail over there.
Right? Yeah, I don't really see what the issue is with. I mean, we have a resource in the University of Miami right across the street. The resource is the students. They don't generate usually a lot of cars. They walk. They use scooters, electric vehicles, or skateboards, whatever the case may be. In that proximity, we have high density areas just allocated just for that. So we should use that resource, again, help us generate some more tax services and help us progress in the right way. So there's, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm so pleased that finally, after a lifetime, that this side, as Reverend Green used to say, big black guy, a reverend who lost both his legs to diabetes. Oh. And so I got to give a tribute to him. One day at City Hall, people were screaming. He got up and he was with his hand. He had arms longer than one of those big basketball. He said, "We are all neighbors here." And it just calmed everybody down. He said to me, Michael, do you know who gets Habitat for Humanity homes? I said, no, who? He says, people that fill out the forms. If you don't fill out the forms, you're not going to get it. How do you reach the people? All right. You got to have an outreach program to reach those people to do that. So my hat's off to him. I don't know why I was thinking about him. But in this side, he would say, what's going on north of Sunset and west of US 1? And now we can say a lot of things. All right. It started probably 25 years ago. Madison Square is almost fully developed at this point. The street's been redone. There's a real bike path there. Marco Drugs is opening up down the street. There'll be an apartment building across the street. There'll be a bigger one over there. The Metro Rail. And I'm thankful that we finally made it to this side. And when the people move over here, they're going to go to restaurants in this neighborhood, right? So restaurateurs, come on over, right?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already started to get some. We have some Mediterranean great food. We have Asian. We have sushis. Like it's starting to come on this side. So it should progress. Maybe we'll have some cool bars. Breweries. There's just there's a plethora of different opportunities that we can have.
Very good. You went to college, I can tell. Maybe it's high school that did it for you.
No, that was college.
Okay, so you're an engineer,
yes,
right? And your wife's a physician.
Yeah, she's a doctor. Yeah,
that's wonderful. What type of doctor? Besides a good one, what type?
She's a lovely one. She's the director of pediatrics. She's a pediatrician.
Oh my goodness! That when you realize the work that pediatricians do, and if you ever get a chance, walk through the hallways if they let you in over there anymore at Children's Hospital.
Yeah. And
you go in there and you go, oh my God, the work they're doing. You don't even have to think. You just walk down the hallways and you see these little kids there. So they do really good work.
She's actually the director of a community center. So there's the Miami Beach Community Health Center has different locations all over the beach area, and she manages 3 or 4 facilities where you see, the underprivileged children and families. So she loves helping them, and she does a great job with that stuff.
And Dr. Tina Carol Scott is right over here.
Yeah, right next to the Gibson Center.
Yes, lovely lady who's really committed. And when the vaccine came out, she knew she had an important role in keeping these families together and alive. All right,
we want to meet her. Yeah, me and my wife. We actually want to talk to her. Yeah.
All right, and she's really committed to this area. And so she works actually in South Miami. And if you're under the age of 18. There's some certain things that can help you get health care. I think they treat from birth to there. It's partly funded by Baptists, or maybe the whole thing, I'm not sure, but a really, really great work that she does. And so that's available for people when they move in.
That's right.
Here. Not many people know that, right? But it's terrific. And it's right on the grounds of the park that's there, the community center. I want to do a shout out.
Right by the basketball courts.
Yes. Simon Codrington, 20 years ago, we were on a committee. And the question is, we should draw something up for a gym. Somebody said, where are we going to get the money? And he said something interesting. Don't worry about that. Let's get the plans. Sure enough, right? The money came in from somebody.
The Gibson Center is amazing.
Yes. And that's a really good place for people to gather and to learn, a lot of life skills. So Progress Lane and Commerce Lane, what's the automotive center of South Miami, a big percentage over there. When the Med-I went in over there, sort of started to alter that. There are a lot of successful small auto centers, shops that are there. In the past, people said, well, we want us to be able to get our cars fixed there because otherwise we're going to have to go down to the falls. But the city's changed the zoning on that to allow for higher use.
Higher usage.
We haven't seen any takers yet. All right. So I'm not sure what it will take. So the people that are there, they can get paid a lot of money for the property. Maybe they're getting ready to retire. But maybe the next go around with our cycle of real estate, maybe that'll happen in that.
It's something I've actually given a lot of thought to. Is just from an urban planning perspective, we really need to dissect and learn and get data. I do think it's primed for something higher density. It's something that, like I said, I think there'll be a great area for breweries, restaurants, different types of wholesale and stuff like that. What do we do with the current area there? I don't know. Like, I don't know if what the right solution is. Where would they go? What would they want to do? We still have cars, and we're still, whether it's shifting electrical or gas, we're still going to have a big need for that. I think that most of us use a mechanic in the area for sure. So go ahead.
Okay, we got a few seconds left. Absentee ballots go out when?
I believe it's August. Yeah,
All right,
mid-August.
right around the
Yeah,
corner.
right around the corner.
And we urge people to vote for their candidate of their choice. They can find you all over the internet. So they can find you. They can call you. They can have a conversation about you and what you can do for the city. I want to thank Steve Calle for coming in. Folks, thank you for your time. And again, this is Live with